Welcome into the victorious edition of the Locked On Packers Squad Show. I am your host. My name is Brandon Snide. Enjoy him now, Packer fans. Savor it now because Jeff Hafley will not be here for long.
I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers, and Micah Parsons showed why you pay him that money.
And this is Jags. As gunnery, Sergeant Hartman would say, what was that?
Go Pack Go! It's the Packers Squad. Everything Green Bay Packers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Titletown. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the frozen tundra with all the cheeseheads, the Packers Squad Show starts now.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Like us on Facebook, follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Packers. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify. You will certainly find the Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. And the show for the fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. As always, thanks to each and every one of you who makes Locked On Packers your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Pick app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The Packers finally snapping their 2-game losing skid at Lambeau Field. They got the 23-6 win today, with that improving to 7-3-1 on the season. A happy addition of the post-game squad show as we will break this entire game down. We'll discuss the turning point. Coach later on will take us to class. And of course, stay tuned for the end. We'll hand out our victory game balls. But Coach, let me begin with you. 23-6 Packers win. The Vikings did get out to an early lead off their first drive, but that's where it ended. Your gut reaction after the big time win over the Vikings, who, by the way, the Packers have not beaten at Lambeau Field for a couple of seasons.
I tell you, what a complete win. It was so much fun to watch the Packers do what they did today. Here's the thing, guys. They did what they were supposed to do. You've seen the same offensive game plan for the last month, right? Run the ball, keep it away from the Packers offense. It was the exact same thing, but they didn't pull it off. And guys, I've rarely seen an NFL team quit like I saw today. No, so
you're saying you saw the Vikings quit.
I did. And here's the deal. Who's that boxer? Roberto Duran, when he said no mas, threw up his hands. Yeah, guys, that's exactly what happened today. And it was, you don't see that in the NFL where teams just go like, I'm good. I don't want to do it anymore. But
I think if you're Matt LaFleur, and look, I had plenty of criticisms of some of the aggressive or lack thereof play calling from Matt LaFleur, some of the conservativeness, but to your point, Coach, when you can win at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball the way the Packers did, you just keep body blows, right? You just keep hitting the body, and eventually they're going to say no mas. And that's exactly what the Vikings did when we saw the pass rush come alive. And this was the game that I felt like, Brandon, we saw the gravity from Micah Parsons return. Like Rashawn Gary one-on-ones took more advantage of that in this game. Devontae Wyatt had 2 sacks, nearly had 2 safeties in this game. I mean, he had 2 sacks just at the half-yard line.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you're expecting to see. And we saw the pressure turn into turnovers. The Rashawn Gary play, did you guys think that was a fumble? I thought in real time that was a fumble the way that it came out. They showed the replay. It looked like, to me, a borderline fumble if it wasn't. But that turns into an interception from Isaiah McDuffie. The pressure turned into turnovers. And that's just what we hadn't seen for most of the year. This is the Super Bowl caliber defense. This is the championship level defense that you want to see every week from this team.
Coach, what made you, when you're looking at this game and the Packers getting the 23-6 win, really it was outside of that first drive, the Packers, I guess at halftime it was 10-6, but after that it was pretty much over, and we'll talk about the turning point and whatnot when this game turned. But what made you, when you're watching this game, Coach, how do you know that this Vikings team quit today?
Well, I don't want to get into like the turning point, but the first series of the second half where we got the turnover down there, and then the next one they went 3 and out, sack, and they were like, "I'm good. I don't even want to play this game anymore." And I tell you, the thing is like that bothered me. And I mentioned it in the chat, Peter. was when the quarterback goes, "I'm sorry, I apologize for not playing good."
Yeah.
When have you ever heard that? That comes from a guy that's never had a lot of adversity in his career, right? And he don't know how to react to that. But I mean, this isn't a Minnesota show, but that deal right there is like, no, that's not the way a starting NFL quarterback talks.
Well, I thought they did a really good job of mentioning that on the broadcast, Coach. They're like, his NFL or his football career for his whole life has been pretty easy. He didn't have to do that much at Michigan. He's playing with, a national championship caliber team. That was Blake Corum's team. And so he, what adversity? They didn't have any. And this is, I think, the number one, not to get too philosophical here, but I think the number one reason, Coach, that we miss on players in player evaluation in every sport is we don't have a good test for how are you at overcoming adversity. Because a lot of these guys come in as 5-star recruits. They win every game in college, or they win a lot of games in college. They don't know what it's like to stink. They don't know what it's like to struggle. And we don't know, as I'm speaking, we as the teams, we don't know how they're going to respond to those moments. And like JJ McCarthy responded by giving himself a moniker, and it has been a laughing stock ever since that oh no, that wasn't me. That was 9. Okay, guy. Okay, George Costanza, relax a little bit. You can't give yourself a nickname, T-Bone. That's not how it works. And so this is a situation where, and I think we talked about it last week, make this team want to quit. Make them, because we talked about Justin Jefferson on the sideline, pissed off. This is a team that thought they were going to compete for a Super Bowl this year. They thought JJ McCarthy was going to be good enough. They thought with the additions they made in free agency along the defensive front, this defense was going to give them a chance. They added along the offensive line. The run game was going to give them a chance. All those things, I don't want to say all those things. The offensive line is better. The run game is better. And it's just that McCarthy stinks. And sometimes that's the difference. I said last week on my show, guys, the biggest reason the Packers are where they are and the Vikings are where they are is the quarterback, and how differently those two teams handled the quarterback position. Because we know Kevin O'Connell can coach quarterbacks. If you can't play for Kevin O'Connell, if you can't play quarterback for Kevin O'Connell, I'm sorry, guys, you can't play.
Can I make a real quick comment there, Brandon?
Of course you can. Go for it. Yeah.
The last guy that this reminds me of, Vince Young. Vince Young was a Heisman Trophy, national championship at Texas. They didn't ask him to do very much, and all of a sudden he gets to Tennessee and he started getting booed. He was done. He did. Yeah. He was. I'm just telling you, he couldn't handle that at all. But anyway, that's just another example of a quarterback that, great program, but doesn't do anything in the NFL.
Coach, you guys are talking about J.J. McCarthy on the other side for the Green Bay Packers. A modest day at the office for Jordan Love, 14 of 21, 139 yards on the day. He did not throw a touchdown. Quite frankly, I don't know if the Packers threw it into the end zone. Maybe once down there when they got.
I don't think so.
I don't even know off the top of my head. What did you think, Coach, about the day from Jordan Love? And if you watch the game on the television broadcast, I still don't know if Greg Olsen is aware that Jordan Love had a separated shoulder. And I love Greg Olsen. I think he's one of the best, but he had no idea why he was handing it off with his right hand. And I'm like, just look at the injury report. I guess, I mean, he was a full participant all week long, but it was clearly bothering him. What did you think, Coach, from number 10? What did you think?
The only thing, and this is always my deal, is right. It's what's the final score? We scored enough points to beat the team. And the thing is that it looked like LaFleur goes, you know what? Our defense is going to be able to dominate these guys. So we don't have to do a whole lot to just win this football game. We don't have to screw it up. And it was very, very pedestrian numbers for him, 14 to 21. So it's 66% or $140. That's not a lot, but they didn't have to do it. They didn't have to do it. They ran the ball 42 times today. Yeah. And again, it's like, you know what? Sorry, you can't stop us, and we're going to make you like it.
Yeah, and the Packers also, Peter, not having Josh Jacobs, which was announced about a couple hours before the game. He went into that game questionable with a knee injury, told reporters if he misses Sunday, he would play Thursday. So maybe we'll see Josh Jacobs on Thursday. But, Peter, the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of fans, a lot of people that cover football, some people that cover the Green Bay Packers have pointed out the team's struggles, right? They can't do this, they can't do that, or they're not doing this, they're not doing that. They are now winning games, and say what you want about the Giants. The Giants just took Detroit into overtime and took that game to about as far as Detroit, as far as Detroit fans wanted to go. what does it say about this team that when you lose a guy like Josh Jacobs, right? You lose a guy like Tucker Kraft. Your offensive line seems to be in flux. At least I think maybe they have the starting five now going forward. But you're winning ball games, albeit it's not all pretty, right? Style points mean nothing, but you're winning games when guys are out and other guys are stepping in. That, to me, speaks volumes on the front office that I know people don't want to give Matt LaFleur credit, but you have to give Matt LaFleur credit in moments like this where you don't have your studs and you have the backups coming in and they produced. Emmanuel Wilson, as coach pointed out, 107 yards on 28 carries today. I mean, that speaks volumes on the roster construction, albeit there are issues, but for that to happen and to have your guys go out and to have guys step up and get the victory, I think is huge.
Yeah, and let me relay two quotes from coaches. Matt LaFleur loves to say football is an imperfect game. So it's never going to be exactly the way you draw it up on the whiteboard. So you have to be able to win in a situation where you don't have all your guys or you're not in the perfect down and distance. You got to make it work anyway. And then Mike McCarthy, a couple of weeks ago, he said on the Pat McAfee show how much he loved playing close games in November and December. He was like, I want our guys to be ready to be in these moments, even against an inferior opponent. I want our guys to know what that feels like, to experience that. Because if you win a bunch of games late in the year and you're blowing everybody out and you're having a good time, all of a sudden it gets to nut crunching time in the postseason, because you're going to play close games in the playoffs, coach. Like you're just not going to blow guys out in the playoffs. You're going to face adversity in the postseason. Yep. So how do you face adversity over the course of the season? We just talked about this with the quarterback situation. Like this Packers team, I think, has shown over the years. Remember the end of the Aaron Rodgers era, Brandon? What was the book on this Packers team? They don't counterpunch. If you punch them in the mouth in the first quarter,
stay down, yeah,
they will fold. They will say no mas in the first quarter, coach. This team does not do that. And week to week, they don't do. They lose Keyshawn Nixon against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in the first quarter.
I don't think Addison recorded a catch today.
I don't think he had a target in this game.
I don't think he did either.
And so that's part of that is Carrington Valentine. Also, Devontae Wyatt, please catch your teammate on the sideline instead of giving him the heavy shoulder. Dear God, what are we doing?
Yeah, it could be possible that we don't have him going into Thursday.
So that would be tough. Now a stinger, you know,
Quay Walker missed with a stinger today. So he didn't play
usually after a couple days, that is feeling better, but you never know, right? Quay Walker, as you mentioned. So, but I thought Kamal Hadden, like Jeff Hafley apparently said really nice things about Kamal Hadden. Matt LaFleur after the game said he's improved as much as any player on their football team. But against Justin Jefferson, they got everything they wanted defensively against Justin Jefferson. I mean, the final numbers, not anything great. Led the team in receiving, but 4 for 48 on 6
you'll take
targets.
that. You'll take that.
You'll take if I told you before the game Justin Jefferson was going to go 4 for 48. Like you'd say the Packers probably won by double digits. And guess what? They won by double digits. So Jeff, I mean, to your point to open the show, Brandon, Jeff Hafley, like this was a lot of this was Jeff Hafley, because I thought that he called a really good game. He got a little bit more aggressive. That was something that on the squad show we mentioned. Show me a little more a double mug pressures. How are we going to handle, JJ McCarthy? They had to have a plan for all of that. And I think we saw they heated him up a little bit, especially in the second half. Once you get a lead, let the dogs go hunt, and they hunted for sure in this game.
Yep. And when you bring 5 people, right, the back's involved now, right? So then it's hard to chip. It's hard to chip people. So yeah, they got after him like I've never seen before. This is the best defensive performance I've seen this year, complete, right? Yep. And we've been kind of griping about like where are the turnovers, and I think I mentioned they'll come in droves, which they did today.
Yep, 3 of them. Yep.
Right.
3 of them. Yep.
And the sacks too. I mean, if you're a coach right now and you're in Detroit, how are we going to defend or stop these guys? How are we going to go ahead and scheme these guys up so we don't just take a complete butt whipping?
And that's an offense right now too that John Morton was relegated from play calling. Dan Campbell took over play calling. Then he like soft gave it back or half gave it back. It's kind of hard to understand what's going on there. So this is an offense that's still for as talented as they are, trying to find their footing on a short week. I mean, the Packers have to be going into. I mean, come on, guys. They did the skull chant at the end of after Evan Williams interception. They went into the end zone and did the skull chant. Like this team, this defense is feeling itself right now, and rightfully so. Like let's not get it lost in all of this. Isaiah McDuffie came in for Quay Walker, and I thought had his best game as a Packer.
He sure did.
He played with force every time he met a Minnesota Viking. That Minnesota Viking
interception. That was a hell of an interception.
The interception was a great play, albeit started by Rashawn Gary, but he was everywhere. And he's not someone that I think of as being really fast, but he looked decisive and fast in this game. He's not someone I think of as a thunderous shoulder pad tackler. He had some big sticks in this game, some sure tackles. You need those guys to step forward. You need your, to pick a 2010 example, you need your Brandon Chillers in those moments, your Eric Waldens to come forward and have these kinds of games. That's exactly what the Packers got in this one.
You know, the funny thing is you say that's like, we always talk about, like, you better watch out what's behind you. And the Jacobs is number one, but Wilson, right? Haversack. And you're just talking about the backer that just played out exceptionally well. Yeah. You know what? Hey, it's your job to step up. It doesn't matter who's.
You're getting paid too.
If you got to go, you're ready. You got to be the guy. The hell.
Speaking of stepping up, I feel like this was, and I could be prisoner of the moment, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. This felt like the first, maybe other than week 1, maybe week 2, the Packers were the more physical team on both sides of the football. It felt like they controlled the game at the line of scrimmage on both sides, defensively and offensively. And speaking of offensively, Peter, Banks, Sean Ryan, Anthony Belton, is that the 3 going forward in the middle? Because Jordan Morgan I thought it might have been a rotation. He was taken off after the first drive. The Packers did score a touchdown on the drive that he played in, but then after that, it was all Anthony Belton, which earlier in the week, offensive line coach Luke Bukowski had gone to the podium and said that they've been working Belton inside, outside, both sides of the ball. But did the Packers find something with those 3 guys in the middle? Because they seem to be able to move the chains when needed to be.
Yeah, the offense in the offseason, the goal has been over the last 2 off seasons, get bigger, get nastier. That's what Aaron Banks was about. That's what Anthony Belton was about. And Sean Ryan has that. I mean, that was a couple years ago now that he was brought in 2022, but he's a big, physical, nasty dude. He wants to put you in the dirt. I thought Sean Ryan played a hell of a game.
I did too.
In this one too. So you put those 3 guys together, they can move bodies. There were a couple really nice. I mean, coach, it's just duo right at you.
Unbelievable.
You wish that
explain duo right at you for the listeners and myself.
Peter, you want to take it?
No, go ahead. It's the coach's corner.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's what they did too. Peter, you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, it's like, we need to have 6 O-linemen in there. Well,
Darian Kennard played 21 snaps.
Isn't that awesome? If you're like an offensive line coach, can we get more guys in there that can earn their letter this weekend? But so here's what duo is. It's an inside run, and it's double teams. It's double teams all along the line of scrimmage. A lot of people talk about it's power, right? Double down, kick out, lead through without the puller. Is what it is. And the hard part is to be able to fit it. And they really had a hard time. Minnesota had a hard time fitting that play. And I don't know how many times they ran it today. It was over 20.
It seemed a bunch. Yeah. 20, and depending 25. On the thing that can be tricky about it, coach, and there's a thing on social media, which I'm sure you do not see, is you'll see the film guys will post, is this inside zone or duo? And sometimes it can be tough to identify simply because of alignments can make it look like, okay, you might end up getting a double in the inside zone, those kinds of things. And I think that's what's interesting about this, coach, is this is a chaos defense. And to just say, we don't care who is going to be lined up where, we're just going to come downhill and hit you in the mouth. And you want to bring a linebacker up? Cool. We're going to kick you out, or we're going to throw you out of the club, which we saw the Packers offensive line do a couple times. I mean, Sean Ryan he put someone in the ground on one of these runs, and it was just sort of like, okay, yeah, that's why you do it.
Yeah. So here's how you can tell the difference between inside zone. It is inside zone, but it's most of the time when we were running duo, you're always running underneath center. Okay. Because you get the ball as deep as you can to the back. Now, did you hear a couple times that Olsen was talking about they didn't fit that right?
Yeah.
Right. With the line. So what they mean by that is if they want to be a chaotic defense, sometimes it's hard to fit the run the right way because it's chaotic and what gap are we going to hit? But the back is looking at one guy, and wherever that backer goes, he goes opposite. That's why sometimes you see it cutting back, sometimes you see it bouncing outside, sometimes you see it like right down the pike. But that's what duo is. And I tell you what, Packers, man, they ran it well today. It was fun to watch.
Peter, what did you think of LaFleur in this one? Something we kind of been talking about on the squad show. I know you've been talking about it on the daily Locked On Packers show. A lot more up-tempo, some no huddle in this one. It felt like it didn't hurt, right? I mean, you scored 23 points, and I know fans will look at the box score and be like, well, could be better, but certainly, give credit to the Vikings defense. Still a talented bunch of guys over there. What did you think from the job from LaFleur to kind of mix things up offensively for the Packers today?
We talked about this on the squad show, guys. So let's pat ourselves on the back a little bit. But we've been wondering about tempo all season. But I think against a chaos defense, coach, it's a great way to, okay, we're going to make you be static with personnel, and we're going to bet that all these designer blitzes that you're putting together, maybe you're less likely to call some of them when you're having to hand signal, motion, get lined up. Okay, who's going to be where? Whereas when you've got time, okay, who's coming in? What's the down and distance? Let's make sure we can get into the perfect play call. It's forcing those decisions to come at a little bit faster pace. And it worked for the most part. I thought they got an offside with the free play on Christian Watson on third down.
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't get called, but they was more of get to the line of scrimmage, and you heard Jordan Love say turbo set. So we're not going to get under center. We're not going to can. We're just like, let's just go, get up and go. Yep. And there was more of that too, which I appreciated. Don't let good be the enemy, or great be the, I say it backwards every time. Don't let great be the enemy of the good. You don't have to get into the perfect play every time. We talked about this on the squad show last week, coach. Just that you call it team passes. Some of them are going to be team runs too. This is we're calling this play to call this play. Let's just go up and run it. And I think sometimes players appreciate that. Let's not try and get too cute. Let's just go execute. And I thought that they executed really well. One thing that is I think downstream of that, coach, I mentioned in the group chat, penalties. This was a really, really clean game from the Packers. And that's been a problem all season. If they play clean and they play defense like this, like you're going to be able to beat anybody. Give it 2 penalties on the day for the Packers, 2 for 10. So, I mean, I think they were both pre-snap penalties. So that's clean living.
Yeah. You know that the no huddle, we've been screaming for it for weeks, right? Yeah. Let's just get up. Don't worry about the play. Just call the damn thing. And you're exactly right, Peter, is you cannot disguise blitzes when you're snapping it that fast. There's just no way, because there is no disguise, right? You can't get that set up when you're going no huddle. But I thought it was good. It was a good change up for us.
The Packers secured their second straight victory. This one over the Vikings at Lambeau Field, 23-6. I mentioned it earlier at the beginning of the show. The Vikings did convert an opening drive field goal, but after that, it was all Green Bay. So when did this one turn for the green and gold? We give you our turning points right after this. Today's victorious edition of the Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates. That includes California, Texas, and Georgia. And don't worry, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot will save your lineup from a loss. Download the Prize Pick app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, that's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Thank you for making Locked On Packers your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Coach, let me begin with you. Looking back on this Packers game, a 23-6 win. Believe it or not, the Packers have now doubled up their NFC North wins from a year ago. They're 2-0 in the division, only won 1 game last year thanks to the finger of Carl Brooks. Coach, we'll start with you. When did this game turn for the Packers on their way to a 23-6 win?
I don't want to take anybody's, but when we went,
I feel like we're all going to kind of have the same one if we wanted to be easy. But
we can all talk about it, Peter. I'm not going to take yours. I hope not. But it was a loss of yardage on a run, sack Parsons, Wyatt sack, game was over. They absolutely said they packed their tent and took it home. They didn't want nothing to do with the Packers after that happened. That was a game changer, in my opinion.
I love it. The defensive performance in the second half. I mean, guys, this was I just did the math. 110 net yards for the Minnesota Vikings, 52 net passing yards. I mean, you can't beat anybody. doing that. But this is just the second half drive chart for the Vikings. Okay. 3 plays, 2 yards, 3 plays minus 12, 3 plays minus 17, 1 play interception, 5 plays interception. That's the second half.
Like so many yards.
That is an absolute demolition of a football team. Right. And look, the play is the muffed punt. I mean, that changed the game. The Packers come out, they get a little momentum. They have to punt the ball. For whatever, did you guys notice it looked like the returner headbutted the football? Like it was going to bounce up to him, and it looked like he like banged his head down on the ball. I don't know why he did that, but the Packers recover. They score. It takes a 10-6 game to a 17-6 game, and it was never in doubt beyond that. I'm not sure that even that, like the Packers would have won 10-6. I don't think it was ever going to be that close. Now, maybe they can stay a little bit more on schedule. They can run the ball a little bit more. But even once they went down 17-6, the Vikings kept trying to run the ball. They just couldn't do anything. You know, Micah Parsons, TFL, like how many first downs in the second half did the Packers get a negative play on defense?
It felt like every drive.
It felt like all of them. And so when you can create those negative plays, it just makes offense impossible, especially when you just don't trust your quarterback. And think about this, guys. Sam Darnold was in this building. Daniel Jones was in this building, and they gave googly eyes at Aaron Rodgers. And they decided, no, we're good with JJ McCarthy. And like it may be unfair to McCarthy, and he may end up being a good player at some point, but like this team needs him to be better now, and he's just not. And they might have to give up on the McCarthy experience now. And that's just like that can set your franchise back a decade if that has to happen.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
I just wanted to make a point, Coach. It is worth noting that, you know, if you did not watch the game and you look up and you see the 5 sacks and the handful of turnovers, this was the ideal starting offensive line group for the Vikings. Yep. They got Ryan Kelly back. They had their guys. This was who they've wanted all season long. I believe this is the first game they've played with their ideal, like, you know, their ideal starting 5. And it was never close today for the front line for the Vikings and the Packers.
You know, and they lost a bunch of guys too at the end, right? And they
lost 2. Yeah. Darrisaw. I mean, Parsons ate his lunch all game long, but and part of my turning point is, Coach, I'll let you go in a second. Part of my turning point has to do with Micah Parsons. You mentioned the muff punt, Peter, which I think at that moment, 17-6, technically the game's not out of hand. It's a 2-score game, but it felt
like enough in the moment.
It felt like it was a huge moment in the game. Don't get me wrong, but it was what happened right after that muff punt that gets my turning point. And it was part of the plays that you ran off, Peter. It was a 3-play. They netted 2 yards in that drive, and it began with Micah Parsons having a sack on that drive, and it was a quick 3-and-out for the Vikings. And as soon as Green Bay got the ball back, I think everybody kind of knew, okay, like this is the way that we're going to control the game. Now the Packers on the next possession punted the ball away, but still you felt really good about where this game was going in the direction. It felt like Green Bay was controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, albeit at that moment only having 17 points on the board. But I don't know about you guys, but it felt like with 11-point lead, it felt like more than enough that the way you were allowing that, that pass rush for Green Bay to kind of pin their ears back. And it was kind of one of the keys that I talked about on Wednesday prior to this game, was that get this game and get this Vikings team into a one-dimensional offense. Make sure, don't allow Aaron Jones to settle in, who, by the way, still has not recorded a touchdown at Lambeau Field since he joined the Minnesota Vikings. Do not let them settle into the run game. Do not let them control the clock. Make sure that you force JJ McCarthy into some throws and get your guys to make plays. We talked about Rashawn Gary on Wednesday. We don't really necessarily need to talk about Micah Parsons, but he had 2 sacks today, and that was my turning point. Was right after that you get that muff punt. Good coaching there by Rich Bisaccia, which Coach will get to it later on. But also being able to put the ball in the end zone. Thank you, Emmanuel Wilson, for stepping in for the injured Josh Jacobs. And then right after that touchdown, you don't allow any momentum. You don't even allow a first down on that next drive. And to me, that is when the game was pretty much over.
Well, that was when they quit. That was when they said, okay, we're going to pack it up. We got no shot here. And as much as I was frustrated in the moment on the drive where the Packers had 7 straight runs, that was one of those, I'm going to put it on the table kind of drives from Matt LaFleur, saying we're just going to take the life right out of you. And it speaks to Emmanuel Wilson, who we probably have not said enough nice things about on this podcast so far. According to Pro Football Focus, he had 13 yards before contact. Guys, he went over 100 yards rushing. That means he had 94 yards after contact.
He was amazing
in this game. That is getting the work done. And when you're picking up, I mean, that drive, as frustrating as the end was, it was 12-yard run, 6-yard run, 8-yard run, 11-yard run. Like, it's hard for me to fault Matt LaFleur for continuing to call runs. Now on 3rd and 3, you get a minus, but like, you know, it was working until then, and you're creating chunk runs, not 4, 5, 6, no, 11, 12, 10. That's as good as a pass, coach.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. And they were never behind the sticks, really, the whole game.
7 of 14 on 3rd down because they were almost always in advantageous 3rd downs.
Yeah, well, that's you can be a really great play caller, Brandon. You could call the game and go, "I'm good."
You wouldn't like how I call it.
Yeah, I would. Well,
I wouldn't have a job long, because even in the group chat, I put it in there. Like,
I know we all did.
Peter, this kind of brings me to my next point a little bit here. I don't want to say a little bit of meat was left on the bone. Packers won 23-6. You won by 3 scores, but it felt like there were moments in this game where the foot was let off the gas just a little bit. Like, oh, we're going to coast to this field goal. We're going to not settle. I don't want to use that term, but like, we're just going to we're going to be okay.
Put your chest in it
with a field goal. And even Greg Olsen on the television broadcast was like, man, that felt like a moment where Green Bay could have put, the nail in the coffin. And I said it after they forced that 3 and out. It was my turning point. After they forced that 3 and out, I said, I'd do a shot play right here, because if you get a big gain, or you get a touchdown, or you get something, and they have been running the ball effectively. If you do the play action, you roll out to Jordan's right or his left, wherever he's more comfortable, and you make a big play down the field like that, it turned out to be over anyway. But it felt like, Peter, there was just a little bit of meat left on the bone, offensively speaking, for the Packers.
Yeah, there was. I mean, there's just no question about it. Now, I think the question that you have to ask from the outside is, how much of this game plan was built around protecting Jordan Love? That's
a good point. Yeah.
He's got a separated shoulder, right? Like that. And as much as you want to say, trust your $50 million quarterback, the reason he separated his shoulder is because Jordan Love did a bozo play and tried to lower his shoulder into a linebacker. Like, just don't do that, Jordan, please. Now, he said he's feeling okay, but the guy couldn't hand off on stretch plays with his left arm. So obviously he's dealing with injury. You don't have Josh Jacobs. You don't have Matthew Golden. You don't have Jaden Reed. It felt like a little bit of a let's just get out of here with a win kind of game. Now, I think that would be more convincing to me, even as I say it, if we hadn't seen this before, like with some of the conservative play calling. But Coach, is there a way, as you're building the game plan, understanding you're going to be undermanned against a team that you really should beat anyway, where you just go, let's just get a win? Yep. Or is that never the coaching mindset? Do you have to build into this, at the very least, hey, we got to protect our guy this week because he's going to play, but we can't get him hurt. Yeah.
And the thing is, there's also a game here in 4 days, right? So here's what ends up happening in the staff room when you get together, you guys watching your film, and this is what LaFleur says. All right, Jeff, what can we hold him to? Because Jacobs is out, Golden's out, our tight end's out, and we're just going to have to be able to control the game and let you guys take it over this week. And I think that's the kind of conversation that was had in the staff room. Like, Jeff, what do we need to do? He goes, if you can go ahead. And again, 42 rushes, he protected the defense too.
Yeah.
It was
what about conversations like with up down decisions too? Like Josh Jacobs, he said he could go, or if he couldn't go, he was going to go Thursday. Like, do you have to build in, hey, there's going to be a short week here. If you're going to be 50-50, we got to just we're going to sit you and get you ready for Thursday.
Yep. 100%. Because I really felt like when they're watching the film of the Vikings, the quarterback's not very good. Right. And we're going to see all of this garbage on like pass protections and all stuff that we have to do. And the backs did a decent job, picking that stuff up for the most part. But yeah, I think all that stuff comes into play. It has to. And I think they are really smart. And I like LaFleur. I really do. I think he's a really good football coach. And I know sometimes he gets too conservative and all that, but his deal is to win football games.
No,
it's not to go ahead and light up the scoreboard.
And he's done it as well as any coach in his first, whatever it is, 7 seasons now at any coach in NFL history. I mean, he's right up there on all the charts with win percentage and all that stuff. He's won football games. There is no question about that.
No, he's a really good football coach. And again, you got to be a coach of the Green Bay Packers. Just look at the list of guys that have done it beforehand. And he's got a better record than all those other guys. So that says a lot. That says a lot about him. But he did. He had that conversation with his whole staff. Said, all right, we've got these guys hurt. We're playing again in 4 days. We can beat these guys. I'm going to control the clock. Jeff, what do you need to do on defense to get it done? And he did. He did exactly. I guarantee he looks at his game plan and goes, I don't know what else I could have called. Our guy.
He was upset about a third down call. I think it was later in the fourth quarter. I don't know if you guys caught it on the television broadcast, but I don't know if he was upset at himself, LaFleur that is, or if he was upset at Jordan for changing something. I don't know. I believe it was 3rd and 3, and then they lost a yard. It turned into 4th and 4, and then McManus came on for a field goal. But it didn't seem like he was coaching for a field goal in that moment. He wasn't thrilled with something, but I don't know exactly what, and I don't know if he got asked in the postgame.
Did you guys hear a lot of cans this week?
I heard a lot of setting the protection, but not a ton of cans. It sounded like a lot of stuff that was being said at the line of scrimmage. But it seemed like maybe less cans than normal. Yeah,
but the protections were changed quite a bit.
Yeah, Greg Olsen had a great one. He called out. There was I think it was the last love throw of the game. It's on 3rd and long. Yeah. I think he changed the protection 3 times.
Yeah. And they will, and Greg's really good. He is.
He's great.
They will use an L or R word. Mine was always lake and river, right? Lake, we're sliding left, right. River, we're sliding right. And it's all universal. Everybody does the same thing. But he did a good job. What do we have? 1 sack today? Is that what we had?
I believe it was 1 on a third down play early in the game, and after that was pretty clean. Yeah. The only thing I will say about that I will continue to harp on, and I think I've said this before. I think I probably said this, Coach, last week, and I probably said it on Wednesday as well. I just wish creativity was a little bit more with Jordan Love in the pocket. It feels like when you have a team that wants to pressure you right up the middle, I don't know I don't know the most football on the show or anywhere, but it feels like if that's the case, move the pocket a little bit. Do a play action boot to the right. Do a play action boot to the left. Move the pocket a little bit. Do an end around. We saw it against the Giants that netted 17 yards. We didn't see any really creativity when it came to the run game today. It was just kind of the inside zone, running inside. And Emmanuel Wilson did great. I thought he had a great game. I thought he was fantastic. And we'll hand out our game balls later on, and he's probably going to get 1 or 2. But it felt like there was just there could have been more. And I don't want to be the negative guy on the show because they did win by 3 scores. And anytime you win in the NFL by 3 scores, I don't care who you play. But when it's a division rival, who, by the way, might have been a little bit desperate because that was their season that we just put to rest at Lambeau Field on Sunday. But it just felt like there can be a little bit more. Now, part of that could be, maybe, the Love injury is a bigger issue than we think. And he did practice all week and he was a full participant all week, but I just wish they would move Jordan Love a little bit more in the pocket. And maybe LaFleur, Peter, to your point, just doesn't trust him to hold on to it or make the play that he needs to make and doesn't want him to lower his shoulder and take himself out of the ball game again.
Peter, you got that?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's frustrating. I don't know what else I can say. It's frustrating. And I think there are, so this is what I said. The difference I made on the show, the distinction was there are explanations. I don't know that there are excuses. I think you can explain some of it. I don't know that you can excuse all of it that way. I think LaFleur would like to win games like the Eagles win games, that just let the defense do the thing, run the ball again, and then hit some shot plays. Coach, I felt like the game plan wise, where is the short and intermediate passes? We saw a ton of those against the Giants. And I just don't know why, especially against a 2-shell team. Yeah. You should be able to hit sideline throws against cover 2, and you should be able to hit middle of the field throws against cover 2. And
no screen plays. I don't think there was a screen. Well, maybe one.
They tried. They had the tight end screen called, and Josh Wiley triple caught it. Otherwise, they had it kind of blocked, and he had to double catch it, and then that gave or triple
slowed him down.
It slowed him down. He wasn't able to get out there. I thought we'd have seen more of the true RPOs, where it's okay, if there's pressure into one side, I'm going to give. I thought that could have been a wrinkle, but Coach, where's the intermediate passing game? I
didn't see it all. But here's the thing about cover 2 or cover 2 shell. If they're playing cover 2, they don't have a safety in the box. Okay. So that's why you can run the ball really effective. If you can't run the ball against cover 2, you're in for a long, long day, right? And what would happen if you're getting jacked up on the run and you're playing cover 2, you got to bring a safety down, which would make it an 8-man box, which means that there's 4 gaps to the left, 4 gaps to the right, and every gap is accounted for. So, but if you're playing a lot of cover 2, you're right, Peter, the middle of the field is where you want to attack. Middle of the field and deep corners.
The Packers getting the win on Sunday over the Minnesota Vikings 23-6, as we have mentioned before, doubling up their wins in the NFC North from just a season ago when they snapped their 2-game losing skid at Lambeau Field. They've now won 2 in a row, but had that lost 2 games prior at Lambeau Field. Now 2-0 against the NFC North. They'll have the Lions coming up, and then they'll have the Bears a handful of times after that as well. What play, what sequence, what decision caught the attention from Coach? He takes us to class right after this. Today's victorious edition of the Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is here, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting those tickets, it can be the hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating, and that is why I personally use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It is fast, it is easy, and it is backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is actually the price you pay. What I love about Game Time is if you want to go to a Bucs game, you want to go to a Brewers game, you want to go up to Lambeau and see the Packers, you can click on a ticket that you may be interested in. You can get an actual visual for where that seat actually is. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code Locked On NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go right now. Download the Game Time app today. The Packers getting the victory over the NFC North rival, the Minnesota Vikings, 23-6. Now 7-3-1 on the season. The defense balled out. The special teams we haven't really talked about. That's usually a good thing. They were great this afternoon, and the offense did more than enough to get the win. Again, 23-6. Coach, what was your moment in this game? What play, what sequence, what decision? What triggered you watching this game in a 23-6 win? Take us to class.
Yeah, well, the first series of the third quarter, right? We didn't have a very, very good a couple plays, and we had to go ahead and punt the ball. And there has been a couple punts today that were inside the 10-yard line. This is how you coach the returner where he screwed it up. You always put your heels on the 10-yard line. If you're the returner, the punt returner, you put your heels on the 10-yard line. Anything behind you, you just let it go. And another way you can do is, like I heard Olsen saying, go ahead and block the near guy. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. You can go ahead and start running the other way to just be a decoy on it, but you put your heels on the 10-yard line. If it's over your head, you let it go. And that's the way that you coach that. And I mean, that was a big turning point in the game when it bounced back into the Detroit player. That was a disaster. That changed the whole game for sure.
Daniel Whelan.
That's how you coach the punt returner.
So
on a 10.
Tell me how you coach it the other way around, Coach. Like if you're coaching how to punt return, Greg Olsen made this point on the television broadcast. How is Rich Bisaccia teaching his gunners to make that play on the other end?
That's a great call. So if it is like the guys on the 10-yard line, you want to get behind whoever the punt returner is, because now you have a 10-yard area to down the ball. So you want to get behind the punt returner on that. I don't know, like the timing of it, it worked out for the Packers, but we would always teach, put your heels now on the 1-yard line if you can get behind that guy, because everyone's coaching the same thing, but it's just like opposite, right? So that was kind of like the play of the day. And we also had another punt inside the 5-yard line, didn't we?
Yeah, Daniel Whelan. I think Brandon was going to go there. Brandon Whelan was awesome in this game. He was absolutely a weapon. At a 63-yard punt that flipped the field. Yep. And on 4 punts had 3 down inside the 20. So
you even go back to, you were in attendance, that Giants punt when he punted that in that game. Like it was a 1-possession game and he took 11 seconds off the clock.
Brandon, he got a game ball for that. So like his performance against the Giants. So not on this show, but from Matt LaFleur in the locker room, he got a game ball. Yeah, so
he did.
I mean, he has been excellent this year, and was huge in this game because the Viking special teams was excellent. I mean, the Packers, if you think about the defensive performance and understand that the 6 points came off 2 52 plus yard field goals at 52 and a 58 yarder. Like that's a hell of a defensive performance. But then the special teams, like they pinned the Packers a couple times too.
Yeah.
And their special teams was plus for that. Their special teams was by far the best thing that they did in the game. It wasn't close.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you got just as good, if not better, from your special teams, Rich Bisaccia. Like if I'm going to complain when you're not doing the thing, this was a hell of a performance from this Packers special teams. Brandon McManus, like this looked as casual as he's looked all season, right? Like just casual, like 40 yarder. The a couple times, like it looked easy for him. He's got to be feeling healthier now. I think the Packers, look, I said a couple weeks ago I was done with him. I think it's pretty clear now he was hurt and playing hurt, and that's on the Packers coaching staff for playing him when he was hurt.
Yeah,
but look, I think things are going to be okay with the kicker situation. The thing is, you look around the league, guys. Jake Bates hit a 59-yarder to send the game to overtime. The Bears won with a 59-yarder or whatever 58-yarder last week. On the road, like if you don't have a guy that can kick it from 55 plus, you don't have a guy. And that's just the way the league is now. You're with a 35-yard touchback, you're now one pass from being in field goal range. That's the crazy thing now, Coach.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I made a comment in the chat. It just amazes me what these kickers are doing. And our punter's doing a really good job too. I totally agree with that. But these field goals, I mean, they're all on the logo. It's like, what the hell? They are. It's just crazy.
Well, it changed Sebastian Janikowski, coach, to be attempting stuff like that.
What was he? Is it the Polish? What did they call him? He's from.
I thought it was the Polish hammer. Is that?
I don't know. They had him, but I know that Mark Richt was a coach down there at Florida State. They said that they always had a watch room where, like on the road, he'd go out. Bobby Bowden was always like, "Where the hell's my kicker?"
It was the Polish cannon.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I tell you, I'm super impressed though that these kickers, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's like I think Peter, you mentioned like the ball they use, like the kicking balls, special balls.
They have specific K balls now for kicking because we used to have that in practice,
and they have them all week.
You only kicked your K balls in practice so that you're not kicking the quarterback's ball.
Right. But I tell you, there's something that these guys are doing right, because all of a sudden, all of these guys' legs are like 10 yards more than they were 10 years ago.
It really is crazy.
And that Reichard 59-yarder probably would have been good from 65 before half. Like he had room to spare.
He could have set the record for longest kick at Lambeau today.
I said it I said it in our group chat. It might have been another one. When the Packers play, there's like 17 chats going on, but I was like, man, I kind of want to. I think the Packers were on the 40, like the 38, and I was like, I wouldn't mind.
Oh, you said it to us.
I did. Okay, I was like, I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind a long field goal here,
just to see, like, the game is kind of already over. The Packers did punt the ball, and I think that was part of what Coach said. They pinned him inside the 5, but it felt like a moment where Brandon McManus could trot out and try a 53-yarder outdoors and see if he's really healthy. But I will say this though, and Peter, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here. It feels like this was, again, prisoner of the moment type feeling, but it feels like this was the cleanest special teams game we've had in a very long time. There was no big return. There were no penalties on special teams. Brandon McManus was perfect. You had the muffed punt recovery by Zane Anderson on special teams, which we all agree was essentially the turning point and really when the game was over. But it feels like, looking at it now, Peter, maybe the cleanest game they've ever played in quite some time.
I think as you're saying this, as I'm thinking about it, I think you can make the case this was the cleanest game they played all year. Yeah, just from a penalty standpoint, because the first 2 weeks, the down-to-down football was excellent. But what did they have? 10 and 12 penalties the first 2 weeks. I mean, they were not playing clean football. They were playing good football, but not clean football. And then they had special teams mistakes at times. I mean, the special teams was great. The offense was more than good enough, and the defense kicked ass. Like, I think this was their cleanest game of the year. We know they have the talent to play better offensively. You're going to get, it sounds like, they opened the practice window on Jaden Reed on Friday. It's his goal is to get back by Thanksgiving. Like, what a boost that would be for this offense that has some, issues underneath. The yak is not there without Tucker Kraft. Well, Jaden Reed is your yak king in this offense. Yeah. Some of the gadget stuff, some of that, Coach, we talked about the intermediate, the short passing game. Well, when you can just spit the ball out to Jaden Reed in the flat, and he can go make a play, that makes your short passing game a lot better.
Yeah, I thought Watson really played well today too. I mean, he's so smooth out there, catching balls, and obviously Love is very comfortable throwing to him, as his guy. But
well, 6'5", 210, what's not to be comfortable
right?
with, Coach?
There's no doubt. And then Brandon, hopefully we get Golden back here soon.
I think he was a limited participant. The wrist is new. I know the shoulder was an issue. I just don't know at this point, Peter, if it's I don't want to say a lost cause for Matthew Golden, but it just feels like eventually you get Jaden Reed back, which is a great thing, right? That's a good thing to have. But it just feels like the whole Matthew Golden, freshman year, rookie year is just kind of one of those things you're going to chalk up as it just nothing really panned out for him and really never had any, good opportunities from an offensive standpoint. And I don't know. I don't know if that shoulder injury is going to go away. I don't know if he plays on Thursday with a short turnaround. And then, obviously when Jaden Reed gets back, that's going to drop him down, and where he plays when Jaden returns, I don't really know. I'm a little bit upset, a little bit disappointed in how the rookie year for Matthew Golden has gone, but this is the Packer way, right, Coach?
Well, let me put your mind a little, Green Bay. Let me put your mind a little more at ease. Okay. At Texas last year, Matthew Golden did not have more than 65 yards in a game until November 23rd. And after November 23rd, he was spectacular, including in the college football playoff. In the conference championship game against Georgia, he had 8 for 162. In the college football quarterfinal, had 7 for 149 and a touchdown, including the game winner. He plays his best football at the end of the year, or at least he did last year. And so, look, he's a rookie. It's going to take time. My listeners know I always say most rookies are bad, even if they turn out to be good players. And so I think that there's still plenty of opportunities here potentially for him.
Yeah.
You're going to need him. You're still going to need him, I think, to try and get going here. The Packers, there's plenty out here in front of him. Coach, I wanted to ask you this as we were talking about Christian Watson. Does he remind you of Javon Walker?
Yeah, he's pretty close. Close. He just seems so confident out there. But Love real confident with him too, right? That's why he keeps throwing to the guy.
Don't forget, as Brandon shakes his head, don't forget Javon Walker, when he was healthy, was a really good player. And he had some other question marks about him. But I mean, his physical attributes were off the charts. He was an incredible athlete at the position.
Yeah, he was a really, really good
player.
Can
agree to disagree, Peter. Christian Watson's way better than Javon Walker.
I mean,
but if you use Christian Watson in the right,
Javon Walker had multiple 1,000-yard seasons in the NFL,
and I think
he had 90 for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns in 2004.
He was
a
one of my
Pro Bowl
favorite
player. We've never seen Christian Watson do that.
We haven't also, again, this goes to the whole, and we're getting way off center here, but it goes to the whole Matt LaFleur thing. Is like, how many has he gotten those opportunities that Javon Walker had? I don't know, probably not, right? But we've seen Christian put this offense on his back. You go back to that last year with Aaron Rodgers and the turning point in their season in that Dallas game.
Yeah,
I was right there at front row. I mean, 3 touchdowns, and you cannot stop Christian Watson. I think he can beat any quarterback at any level, of a defense, but he's got to have those opportunities. And when you have Romeo Doubs and you have when Jaden Reed's healthy and Matthew Golden and Tucker Kraft, his opportunities are a lot less than what Javon Walker had gotten during his prime in Green Bay. That's the only thing I would say. I think Christian Watson can do everything that Javon Walker does or has done, but he's also got to be given those same opportunities.
I'm just talking about from they're almost the exact same size in terms of that. They're the speed and the frame is there, and then the ability to win down the field. I mean, that was the Javon Walker thing, is if you sent him on a post or a go route, he was going to be open.
Yeah.
Well, last week's touchdown. I mean, God, how hard was that catch? Is it a better catch or a better throw?
I mean, my answer is yes, Coach.
Yeah,
I know exactly right.
Greg Olson actually talked about that today on the show as well, on the game broadcast as well, of how ridiculous of a throw it was, but it was a big time catch. And that's the big thing with Christian Watson is make those contested catches. That you have that size, you have that speed, you have the ability. Go out and get it done. The Packers, speaking of getting it done, they get the win today, a full team victory. The defense with a bunch of sacks, the offense scored plenty of points, and the special teams didn't mess up. A good one for the green and gold today, a 23-6 win. And now back-to-back weeks, we get to hand out our victory game balls. That's coming up right after this. It's always a great start to the week when you can begin with victory game balls as the Packers beat the Minnesota Vikings at Lambeau Field. Now 2-0 in the NFC North. They improved to 7-3-1. And gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'm going to start us off today with the game balls. And I kind of teased it at the beginning of the show. So if you tuned in at the beginning, you will already know that my game ball is going out to defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. And this was a game where he didn't allow, and they had talked about it in the pregame, allowing J.J. McCarthy to get comfortable, allowing J.J. McCarthy to build some confidence, build some rhythm and flow within his game. Jeff Hafley did not allow that to happen. Now, you can give a lot of credit to Micah Parsons, who played a big role in it, Devontae Wyatt. I thought Isaiah McDuffie had a fantastic performance, but I thought the way that Jeff Hafley called this game for the defense, keeping the pressure on, obviously, it helps when you're up 2 scores, but keeping the pressure on that Minnesota offense to force them to turn into one-dimensional, force them to turn into throwing the ball. In the third quarter, the Vikings ran 6 plays, you guys, for negative 10 yards. Both of our turning points were partially in that third quarter with the fumble, but Micah Parsons obviously getting the sack. That next drive really kind of negated any momentum that they could have grabbed. I thought this was a fantastic performance from Jeff Hafley. He didn't allow J.J. McCarthy to settle into this one. He didn't allow the Vikings running game to really get going at any moment in this game, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I've talked about him before. Enjoy him now. Savor it right now because he will be a future head coach in this league sooner rather than later. So, Coach, I'll hand it off to you. My game ball this afternoon going to defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley.
Yeah, Jeff had a great plan. He disrupted that quarterback all day long. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and take Wilson as my guy, right? I mean, all of a sudden, you're thrust into a starting role from a Division II school that you got cut. What a great story. 28 rushes for 107 yards, and he ran downhill. I mean, he didn't avoid any contact. He made some tough yards. But, I mean, I give the young man a lot of credit for not quitting and, taking a great advantage of an opportunity that he didn't have before.
Yeah, Emmanuel Wilson was the one that I was going to keep in my back pocket just in case someone took Micah Parsons, and I wanted to be able to shut that out. I mean, I've been, Brandon, you and I have been calling for more touches for Emmanuel Wilson this whole season, right? And so we thought maybe in a game like this, no Josh Jacobs, they would lean a little bit more on Jordan Love. They did the exact opposite, and that shows the faith they have, Coach, in this running back. I mean, they believe in him to be. There were times when you go, okay, he's the best pure rusher on the team. Was that 2022? Especially when Aaron Jones was out. So, it was 2023, excuse me, when Aaron Jones was out. It's like, he might be the best pure runner on the field. But for me, it's Micah Parsons because the gravity that he creates. I mean, that drive in the fourth quarter, guys, when they blocked him with 3, I think you were right though in the group chat. He did take a hand to the face. I got him right on his face mask.
He does not.
I don't know why he can't get a call to save his life in pass protection.
Amazing.
But he had Christian Darrisaw in hell. And Coach, you overset against Micah Parsons. He's coming inside, and he's going to hurt your quarterback. Yeah. And I don't know what you do with him because you block him one-on-one. He's going to win. It seems like 40% of the time he's going to win if you block him one-on-one. He's just a nightmare. And all the stuff that they're doing to get him free, I just think is so cool. They showed more bodies in this game to muddy the picture for J.J. McCarthy. You got Ryan Kelly coming in, Devontae Wyatt, 2 cleanup sacks. Rashawn Gary had 2, Micah Parsons was hugely impactful yet again. And not the only guy this time. That's the key. It can't just be Micah Parsons. Micah plus the gravity, that's special, and that's what we saw in this game. That's why he gets my game ball.
Did you see that stat about Reggie White and him?
Yep. The only 2 guys to have 10 plus their first 5 seasons in the NFL. Yeah. Well, that's a longevity stat too, Coach. You got to be healthy. You got to be on the field.
No doubt.
And so there are Myles Garrett is a good enough player, but you get nicked up with injuries or you're on a bad team and your teams are never running or you're never throwing the ball enough for you to get sacks. He's a special guy. He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, game wrecker. Reggie was the same way.
You just got to end the show with thanking Goody. The Packers getting the 23-6 win over the Vikings, 7-3-1 on their season. Our thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Friendly reminder, the Locked On Packers Squad Show and the Daily Show with our guy Peter there. Free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, as well as over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. For Peter, for Coach Jags, and for myself, we will sign off for now. We will catch up later in the week as we get you set for the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. And keep in mind, Peter's got you covered all week long on The Daily Show. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you listen. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Thanks again to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Packers part of your day each and every single day. And also, thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And as always, stay Locked On Packers.